Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers, commentators, guests, experts, and or hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the network, broadcaster, channel, and or program's policy or the views held by this network, broadcaster, channel, or program. The network, broadcaster, channel, or program cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fem Talk Nation. We are excited to be here. Let's bring in the ladies of Fem Talk. We have Dr. Melissa Simmons.
Hello, Fem Talk Nation. Woo, 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 woo.
Hello. And let's bring in Shima She Talks.
Hey, Fem Talker.
Hey. So, Ladies, we have a question tonight. Somebody asked Fem Talk tonight. I'm super excited about this question. So let's get right into it. It says, I want to mentor other women at my company, but don't know where to start. What's the best way to be a supportive mentor? I knew she was going to want to take this one.
Oh my gosh, because that's what we did. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Love opportunity. Actually, I was listening to my superintendent talk about a men's conference he went to for men leaders. And they always have somewhere they're going. And he says, oh my God, it was so inspirational, la, la, la. And I heard in the back of my head, this is the opportunity. Boom. I said, well, don't you think the women need the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Ding,
well,
ding,
of course. Ding, right? He said, but of course. I said, well, I'd love to host it. I said, let me give you a proposal and let me see if we could do it here. He said, absolutely. So I went home, did my proposal. Shima remembers, we put everything together and we went and I gave it to him and he said, absolutely. And from then on, he supported anything we did. And I had the sessions like, right after work. So it started like about 4 to 6. Mm-hmm. And it was great. It was great. And we even continued to do it during the pandemic. Absolutely. So we did it on Zoom and different things like that. Tracy, you came and spoke with us. So we had different topics. Yeah. But I think you take the opportunity. You know, I think this is, as a matter of fact, one of my theme for this year is go and get it. Go and get it. Go and get what you want.
I love that.
And if you're motivated to start something at work, I think is you just have to go get it. You know, go and talk to whoever needs to be talked to. Let them know. Be ready with your proposal. How are you going to do it? So that when you are asked questions, how are you going to go about this? You could do that. Even if you are looking for, say, your company will sponsor or give you monies for, light refreshments or something like that. Have all that ready.
Yeah.
Right. Have everything ready so that you know how you're going to go about it. So I say go for it. Go figure, get everything together and then go to whoever that person is, the boss, the superintendent, the CEO, whoever that is that you need to speak to, go ahead and speak to them.
Yeah, and listen, I worked for a company where they called it a buddy system. They didn't call it a mentor, but that's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. And you had to, and this was as soon as you joined the company, you got a buddy. And I love that they did that because immediately they're aligning you with someone, and it always had to be someone above you in the hierarchy.
Makes sense.
Which I
yeah.
also loved, right? Which makes sense because if you're intending to progress in that company, you want growth in that company, you should be able to have a mentor who is, a step above you in the hierarchy so that you can grow and get to that level, right? So I love that they did that
right off the bat. But I would say, the question was, how to be a supportive mentor, right? The first thing, it starts with communication. It starts with a conversation. You have to understand your mentee, what they're looking to do while they're, at this company that you're working at, or your
Right.
company, if it's your company, or if you're going into a company to mentor people, you got to understand what the mentees actually want. So it starts with a conversation and connection, and, building trust with those mentees so that they can trust you to tell you the things that they really do want for themselves within this position that they're in, or place that they're in, right? Because you don't have to be a mentor to somebody in a corporation. It can be just a life mentor, right? But you need to really understand who they are, what they want, where they're trying to go, in order for you to really be supportive and be able to help them. And then you create things around what that is. And it depends on where you are. Again, if it's in a corporation, you may be limited to what you can do with them. But if you're an outside mentor, create things, create fun activities that are going to allow you to continue to get to know them more, help them grow, teach them lessons, but create some activities that bring in a little fun, and some mentorship and learning.
Well, Shima, I remember some of the things you used to do for the team. And I think mentorship is not, especially if you work in a place you want to be a mentor. Mentorship is all the time. You're always sitting in a position of mentorship. I remember, she would just walk over to people and start talking to them, or she would see somebody like feeling down or something, and then go and just like encourage them. And they knew her for that. So now, if they felt like that, they would come to her office and stuff like that.
Right.
On with the people I worked with a lot, it was, I used to always get that. Well, somebody told me to call you if I had a problem, and they, because I think it's a, and when you work somewhere, it's really a badge that you wear. It's not even just this an event type of thing, because things are happening all the time. Situations are changing in corporate settings, and it could be one evening where somebody just needs to talk because they had a bad day. They're rethinking their decision to be there, and now it's time for mentorship. So I think you also walk with that badge. It's in you. If you're a mentor, then you're a mentor, and you start creating that. So when you go to the big boss, he already heard about you. He already heard you already doing that.
Yeah.
So that it becomes even easier for them to say, "Yep, I'll support you."
Yeah.
I think one of the things that both of you mentioned, and where the start for me or anybody who's thinking about it, whether it's an actual mentorship or just the being able to mentor, on a basic level, you got to build a rapport with people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got to listen. You got to observe. And if you're in a company that someone will be receptive to mentorship, if the company doesn't have it, then you start building those building blocks.
Yeah.
You start laying down the groundwork. And like you said, I was inviting people to my office, catching them in their office.
Yeah.
So you build a rapport that lets them know that they have a support system.
They have a support. Yeah, that's it.
To release or to vent or whatever it is. And you tout yourself as a person of knowledge, not meaning you need to know anything, but when they tell you what their issue is or where they're looking to go, if it's not yours or something in your wheelhouse, then if you want to mentor that person, that means you got to do the work to bring them the information or to tell them where to go get that information.
Yeah.
I know you talked about your, the girl boss stuff, the original, the I don't want to say, what is it? I can't say the remix. I forget what we call it. The original.
The 101.
The 101.
101.
You start, if you can't go to someone and have them allow you to create that environment, have an event, get the reception from the people who have come and feel like this is something that they can benefit from, and use their testimonials or reviews to let them know that we need this in our environment. Because I see where she's saying she works at her company. So if you don't already have it, this is going to help you.
Yeah, do it yourself.
Yeah,
do it yourself.
Offer it.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. All right. So now we know what we're going to do tonight. We have to talk about this. This is our hot topic. Well. Go ahead, Dr. Melissa. I know you want to say it.
Start looking around.
I have no comment. I really don't. Look.
All right, let me say it.
Look, happy Martin Luther King Day. Yes.
Right.
Let me say it then. Listen, everyone. Donald Trump was sworn in yesterday as the 47th president of the United States. That happened, yes, on Martin Luther King Day. Yes, on a happy MLK Day is right. Thank you, Vic. But he was sworn in. You know, like him or not, right? He is the 47th president. That's just the reality of what's happening in this country at this time.
I'll choose the second.
So number 45 has now become also number 47.
Yeah, and I guess that's how I have to refer to it because I don't say his name.
Well, I'm not shy. I'll say his name. But well, in more important news, right? Our beloved Michelle Obama decided that she did not want to attend the inauguration.
I love her.
We did see because I did watch the inauguration, and you did see President Obama, former President Obama, walking into the inauguration, and the Democrats got booed as they were walking in. So President Obama got booed. President Clinton and Hillary Clinton got booed when they walked in. Actually, yes, it was all rude. It was rude all the way around because it just shouldn't happen at all. It doesn't really matter.
These are presidents. These are people. You know, in his worst day, nobody did that to him.
Right.
So you know, and this is why I'm. You know, I'll say it like this. So I was researching all the different countries that a lot of people are migrating to now. Getting there, you know, new places to live. That's how I'm feeling about all of this.
Listen, a coach of mine posed this question. I want to say 4 years ago. He said, and all of his clients are African American, and he said on this coaching call, he said, if we have to move, right, as a culture, right, if we had to move, are you prepared to make the move? So I also know that in more recent news, and I heard this firsthand from an Uber driver, actually, from the country, but he was saying that, you know, the Kenyan president is welcoming now to Nairobi more people of African American culture, right, and descent to come into Nairobi to live permanently, right? So they're welcoming that more and more these days.
Yeah.
So you know there's some more leniency on it for people to come and move to Nairobi.
And I was super surprised to find out that Panama, my country of origin, at least my parents, that it is one of the number one destinations for people to retire to and to move to. Just had 2 people go, and they both are going back and looking to buy property. I mean, and this was just vacation. So, like you said, you know, last time this happened, I thought the same thing, Tracy. Like, you know, what are we doing? And, you know, depending on how things really start turning, you know, what am I willing to do? And this time I was a little bit more prepared to say, okay, I'm willing to do this. And I'm looking into it.
Yeah, at the very least, right? You know, look into buying a property somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Alternatives, have options.
Absolutely.
Options. I think as a smart American, it's time to have options because I'll just say this. I had an interesting conversation with I was online waiting for my food in Chick-fil-A.
Uh-huh.
And
No.
this person, I know, this person came and just started talking about, people say that, so-and-so is, the Antichrist. And I was like, and he said he wasn't talking about 47. He was talking about the puppet master that 47 wants to have with him, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. And I said, well, if you read the Bible real good, this is really lining all up.
Well,
just saying.
And well, listen, all things to be said about the things that happen on this earth, right? It just means that we need to be more and more connected to God.
To Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're gonna move on from there. So
we should have a show on, the book of Revelation one night.
Absolutely. So our topic for tonight is how do I start living a healthy lifestyle, championing your health. What do you ladies think about this topic? Now, I could go right down. Take this all the way down the line. But I want to know what the two of you think first before I start.
Well, I think, look at her. Are we entertaining you, Mama?
Somebody needs some sleep. Somebody needs sleep in this group.
Well, yes. I was going to start with that.
Part of championing your health.
It's all of that cruising. It's all the cruising. I get it. That's all right. That's all right. But, no, seriously, I think, Tracy, you're like the icon of health and champion, and your lifestyle. It's who you are, right? So, like we were just talking about mentorship and being that icon. You're that person that people always go to. So, I know you're the guru when it comes to living healthy. I'm the victim. And I look at it as the victim. No, seriously, the victim of not being healthy and looking to become healthy. Okay. I'm the victim that, didn't know that she wasn't healthy. That from a baby, and I say baby because, my first memory, I was 5 years old. And one of my first memories is I was this big girl. It was just one of my first memories. I was one of the tallest. I was always the tallest. And by default, the biggest, because I was the tallest. And never understood my body frame. And I lived amongst people that were by nature smaller. I lived around a lot of Hispanics, and by nature they're a smaller person. They're the body makeup, the average, Hispanic that I lived around was about 5'4", 5'5". That was tall, and it was small, petite people. Right. So I looked like a giant all the time amongst them. I didn't grow up a lot, around African American people. And I live in an African American neighborhood. We had some, but it was mostly Hispanic. So, I became this victim of not being healthy because I was big. And then, I remember going to the doctor. He's talk about you need to lose weight. And I was like, lose weight. I was 9 years old. What are you talking about? I need to lose weight. And so as time went on, because I'm this victim of this situation of my own circumstances, right? And I say my own of my body type, of my culture, of the people I'm around. I'm just trying to live. And little did I know until I started getting older is that you're unhealthy, or you need to try to become more healthy. That this will not fare well for you if this continues. And I started this journey really when I was and it was that plus the stigma of being a big girl and this journey of trying to become healthy from 16 until now.
Can
and
I?
not have an answer.
I want to stop you right there for a second, because, and I was going to start in a totally different place, but from hearing you speak, I want to first say you're not a victim. And the first thing that we have to do around living healthy is changing the language and the mindset around how we feel about ourselves, how we look at ourselves, and how we think about ourselves in order for us to live a healthy lifestyle. Many times, right? Not always, but many times, right? When you are in these circumstances where you feel like, well, I am the biggest person. A lot of that, a lot of what we have is habitary, not hereditary. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it. I would say the vast majority of what we have is habitary, and that's my own word, right? That's not a word,
Right.
but
I
it's
like.
habitary, it's not hereditary. And many times society will have you thinking that everything is hereditary because of your culture, right? Especially in an African American culture, right? At certain points in our lives, they say we're going to get this, we're going to get that, and
Yes.
and the list that you can run the list down the line of ailments that they say we're going to have because of just culturally, right? But a lot of that has to do with how we were raised. No fault of our parents, in our
Oh,
cultures, and
right.
this is the Hispanic and the African American community for that matter. But a lot of it is change your thinking first, right? Because
Oh,
you're not,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
And I said victim very intentionally
Mm-hmm.
because that's what this society has created in
Yeah.
this whole, in this whole thing called weight and weight loss,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's big business. It's big business now. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't always big business, but it's
Mm-hmm.
big business now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot more talk about it now.
Yeah.
You know, the little programs that we used to join. That was, that was business.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you start tapping into the drug companies, you're big business. So now
Yeah.
we're big business, and I did that, and I say victim because when you,
Mm.
like you said, Tracy, fall into all of these stigmas as a young person, every day we had
Mm-hmm.
rice and we had plantains and we had avocado on our plate every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But now, see, something like that, those alone is not what did it. It's what we
But
put
I'm
in.
just saying, it's like you said.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the variations of, it's the adding the butter, and it's the adding the sugars, and it's those
Oh,
are the
that was
things that
all part of
rice
it.
is healthy, right? Avocado is healthy, plantain is healthy, right? It's just when we start putting the extras to it, right? Because if you look at other cultures, they eat those things, right? And they are typically not overweight. It's usually,
But this is the thing, and this is why I say that, because you're saying this, but take this back 30 years ago.
yeah, for
We
sure.
know this now,
Yeah,
but this is how we lived.
yeah,
And we didn't know that that was wrong. We didn't
yeah,
know that we wasn't supposed to be doing that. We just thought that's what you did.
yeah.
And that was normal. It was normal to have these meals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, put more beans on the rice. That's what you're supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to have this. No, have a big bowl of porridge, or cream of wheat and add this to it and have all of these things was how we grew up. So
Mm-hmm.
part of the dilemma I had as a child is, well, what am I doing wrong?
Ending.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had no
listen.
clue what I was doing wrong. And I said, well, I didn't do anything. I'm just eating.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I remember when people started limiting my food, I was like, don't get back. I can't get no seconds.
Mm.
Right. Exactly.
And the psychology behind this, because we weren't, we didn't have this conversation that
Yeah.
we're having now. We didn't have all of the support.
Yeah.
We weren't into mental health. We weren't into healthy living. We weren't, those things didn't exist. All exists was this negative, push to now deal with what you have. And all I heard was, I'm fat.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
now I had to figure what that all out, what that meant.
the
Yeah.
delivery was slighted too. It wasn't eat more of this. It was stop eating so much.
Right.
And it was so antiquated that, it, like it altered your thinking. Why are they limiting my food? Why are they giving me less food? Why are they not? And then now, because we've become educated and we've lived, why are you not telling me the things that I should eat?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not giving me recommendations? And we didn't start getting that till adult.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, we may not be victims of how we grew up, but it's learned behavior.
Yeah.
We started out with learned behavior, and then it was up to us to figure
But I
out.
think it was,
And make
the
no
word
mistake,
victim
though.
is like a victim is when you're handcuffed, right? When you're caught. And it took, like you said, it took growing up, it took doing your own research, and it took, learning the positive words to free yourself of that whole social, stigma that you were under, and pull yourself out of that. So now that you're free, how do now in the position I'm in begin to have a healthy life and champion a healthy life. I even in my overweight status, I began to live a healthy life.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that people don't understand is that just because you may have more weight than somebody else doesn't mean you're not having a healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I started switching, myself and my family over from white rice to brown rice, and for me, again, very Hispanic background. What are you doing? We don't do that, but we did now. So
but you don't know what you don't know, right? So like you said, it's learned behavior. I mean, I'm a testament to that too, right? I did not know about health pre-cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was forced to learn more because of my situation. But just like you said, I was eating. I didn't think that I was unhealthy. I was eating what I was accustomed to eating. And I've never been overweight, but I still wasn't healthy. Right. So there's your perfect example of, the weight doesn't measure whether or not you're healthy. There's a coach out there that put this question out there that I have kind of reiterated and resounded on social media as well as, are you healthy or are you just not sick? Because oftentimes we just don't know if we're not looking for it. Right. And then something happens and then it triggers you to learn more, to now start researching, right? To learn how to take care of yourself, how to better take care of yourself. So, under any circumstances, right, where you have learned to live a certain lifestyle, right, that's not healthy, you won't know anything until either something happens or someone else says to you, wait, no, this is not the way to go. This, you need to live a healthier lifestyle, which is why I'm here. I want to help people do that without having to get to some diagnosis, right? But I wanted to say too, when it comes to how can I live a healthy lifestyle, the first thing that I tell people before we start with, oh, you need to change your food, you need to exercise, you need to start thinking better. The first thing that I usually tell people is really understand who you are as a person and how you operate. Because if you don't know how you operate and how you change habits, right, you're not going to be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And I always give the example of, if you're that person that can go cold turkey doing something, then that's the route for you to go, right? Then that means, if you decided I'm going to stop sugar, I'm going to stop dairy, I'm going to stop eating meat, whatever that is for you, right? Go cold turkey because you know that's how you operate. But if you know that's not how you operate and you need to progressively start to change things, then that's how you have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be unsuccessful in your healthy journey. So you have to understand who you are first before you even get started. Otherwise, you're going to revert back to those habits that you had on that learned behavior of an unhealthy lifestyle.
Right.
And I think when you have to add to, where are you in your health? So, learning your habits, I think, is a big part of it. And one of the things I'm so grateful for is that in my heaviest, I learned to love myself. I learned to, enjoy who I was and be satisfied with who I was, regardless of my weight. Yeah. And that was a hard journey that I went down to really learn that for myself. And I thank God for it, because he showed me that I am wonderfully and beautifully made. And it was then that I can now, Tracy, honestly look at now where I was and what I needed to do, and not beat myself up every day, but celebrate whatever I was able to achieve and be honest about it. And I love that piece about the honesty that you mentioned, Tracy, knowing who you are. I'm a foodie. How do you know, I would never have said this back in the day, because in some people's head, isn't that obvious? And it's not. It's not. A foodie is somebody that enjoys food, but that doesn't make you overweight. So if I would have said that back in the day, they'd have said, well, of course you are. Look at your weights, but that's not. I enjoy food. And what I've learned is I enjoy the idea of food and the gathering of the people for food.
Yeah.
So it's this opportunity to gather your family, your friends, when let's celebrate a birthday. Okay, let's go out to dinner. That's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the event that food would create.
Yeah.
Or that you would work around food. And that's where the foodie in me came from. But an understanding that was important.
Yeah. And even in those circumstances, right? Once you understand who you are, once you can be honest, I love that you said be honest with yourself, right? Once you can be honest with yourself and you start to change those habits, even in those circumstances, right? You create different ways to live a healthy lifestyle while you are gathering, right? And once you start to do these things, right, the palate changes. Your body starts to require differently, right? The food, the exercise, and then create things around your family life or your gatherings that's going to allow you to still be healthy. Maybe it's drinking a mocktail, maybe it's having more of the vegetables than the starches, maybe whatever that is. I don't know what that looks like until I talk to individual people, right? But whatever that is, create something fun around that. Hey, Nick, create something fun around the gatherings that's still going to allow you to live healthy. Like my cocktails now, they look different. Doesn't mean that I don't drink a cocktail every now and then, because I still do drink alcohol, right? But right tonight, right, I bet you can't even guess what this is, right?
It looks like some kind of a tomato juice.
It's not tomato juice, but it's an iron drink. It's absolutely delicious. It's my cocktail for tonight, right? So you just create ways on how you incorporate different things in order for you to live healthy. But one of the questions that we had out there too was, how do you afford a healthy lifestyle? Do you feel like, living healthy costs you more money than the opposite?
Absolutely. I have yet to find a cheaper way to go healthy. And I say a cheaper way. I guess, depending on where you go, there are more options now. I will say that. So you could go into, I'll just say this, you go into a Walmart, and if you do your research early, you can get some good things. But is it still a little bit more expensive? Like when you go to the more high-end natural or organic places, the cost is still like this. So I don't think it is not easy, but I know a lot of effort has been made to make it more affordable. There's a lot more programs out there. There's a lot more, you just look online. There's a lot more mail home type of food programs that you could participate in with a healthy twist to it. So I think that there's more opportunity out there, but I do believe living healthy is not the cheapest way.
Well, and I'm gonna, I like to play devil's advocate on things, right? I disagree to a certain extent, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is, if you are getting whole products, they're not really cheaper, like more expensive than, anything else. Like if you're just buying, like I'm saying, a head of lettuce, some string beans, I'm just putting stuff out there, right? Like, meat, even meat, right? Because you buy meat when you're cooking it healthy or unhealthy, but even the meat, right, is what you add to it that makes it unhealthy. So if you're buying whole food, it's not necessarily more expensive versus
I have
And,
to
and if
agree.
you go to a farmer's market, right? Because you guys, I know you guys both love farmer's market too. If you go to a farmer's market, actually the produce is better for you and it's cheaper than when you go to the grocery store. So if you're buying Whole Foods, it doesn't necessarily have to be more expensive. It's the other stuff. It's the what they call healthy in a box or a bag those things are more expensive than
I
if you just buy Whole Foods.
item for items,
Mm-hmm.
that actually, compare item for item, maybe lettuce and all the ingredients for a salad is more expensive than rice or a bag of beans or something like that. However, I think my mind, and that's only now, it focuses more on the amount of food that we eat. If you think about all of the bad food that we eat a lot of it. You eat it 3 or 4 times a day. You and I talked about this the other day, Tracy. We've both heard experts talk about how much we eat and how much we should not eat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you compare the amount or what we need to live as opposed to what we desire to eat, it's really not more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You're eating less because you're eating a healthy amount,
Mm-hmm.
or I say dose, but a healthy amount of food, as opposed to large consumptions of food that's bad for you.
Yeah. And we are one of the few countries, right, where the larger consumptions at mealtime happens, right? Other countries, you don't see that in other countries. They don't consume the large amounts of food that we do. They don't have the plate is not full like
Not at all.
ours here in the United States. And I was watching a video from a disciple, I'll say, of Minister Farrakhan, and he was talking about how Minister Farrakhan talks about fasting and how you really only need one meal a day, and then you fast and you drink while you're fasting, but that's really all that your body requires, and you'll start to see your body go into higher pH levels, right? More oxygen, right? Ketosis, right? You'll start to see your body go into these stages where it is able to fight disease, even so much more impactful than when you're eating the 3 meals a day. So there's something to be said about how you choose to go about living and eating, right? When it comes to the food portion of it, right? I went to a functional medicine doctor on Monday with my son. And after that, I actually booked an appointment for myself with him after that, because we had this conversation about taking calcium versus exercise. And what he said to me was, you can build your calcium by the exercise that you do. He was like, your bones are probably really strong. Because I was just asking, should I be worried about calcium now that I'm getting older? And he was like, no, your bones are probably strong because if you exercise, right, normally, he was like, they did a study where they took like 100 women, they put 50 in yoga and 50 did nothing. He said the 50 that did yoga 15 minutes a day built their bones. The ones that did not, they either stayed the same or their bone density decreased, right? So there's something to be said about when you start to incorporate a healthy lifestyle, and and this is 15 minutes a day yoga, right? So not a long period of time for you to be able to build your bones, especially if you're 40 and over, right? So there's things that we can do that are going to allow us to really live healthy, to help ourselves, to champion our health without feeling like everything has to be so rigorous. It doesn't have to be so expensive. It doesn't have to be, running the marathon. I like to use that as an example. It doesn't have to be so rigorous in order for us to actually live healthy. There's small things, small chunks that we can do that are going to allow us to make changes in our bodies, in our minds, and our spirits in order for us to be healthy.
Your original question was, how do you start? Just do one thing.
Just start.
You just start.
I
will say this.
That's why I love Nike, right? Just do it. That's really what it's all about. Just do it.
But what I will say is, and I agree. You just start. You just start. And it is doing, building stamina and behaviors and habits better in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, when I started, I was at my weight was at a very high point. I was on 5 medications and about to go on my 6th. So a lot of people sit in that space, and and we could talk. I know we need to probably take a break, but we could talk about the whole new big business of weight loss,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real one. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm happy about now is where the what I've been doing, and I counted the years. I've been going to my doctor for 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
my weight loss doctor for 9 years. And I started out with just going to the nutritionist, like you said, Tracy, learning, relearning.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even say relearning, learning for the first time
Mm-hmm.
how to put a meal together. What should
Yeah.
the meal look like? Not looking at the diet card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what we grew up on, the diet cards. And everybody goes to the room and everybody kumbaya, and
And listen, everybody's overweight according to the diet card. If you look at the diet card, most people, I would say probably 70% of the people in this country are overweight.
Yeah.
Based on the diet card.
and to your point, for years I didn't have all these issues, but as you get older, things do start happening based on the weight that you are carrying. And that's what I started to realize. And more importantly, again, if you have other issues, and at the time I had I had my thyroid removed, and once that happened, that's when everything went south. So it wasn't even that my weight had triggered all of this. My thyroid being taken out had now put my whole endocrine system haywire. Thank you for that word. And now I was on things I didn't have, that I never was on, but now my body had to create the things that my thyroid was not there anymore to create, right? So learning now, and now managing my weight became that much more important.
Right.
But not just managing it, losing weight. And I'm going to be real clear. I had to lose weight. There was, and at first I was against, when I started with the doctor, I was against surgery. I was against medication, all of that. But 2.5 years in, still on all this, getting more medications, still on medications, and then trying to be put on. The doctor wanted me to go on another one. I said, enough is enough. And I said, okay, talk to me about the weight loss medication and surgery. Because now I knew time was against me, meaning, there comes a time where you're taking all these medications, and your body is being broken down, worn down, because of everything that now the medications in your body. Talk about unhealthy, right? All of these things in your body trying to, as a nurse once told me, just deal with the symptoms. They're not curing you. You're just dealing with symptoms. Yeah. They're just trying to level out the symptoms so that your numbers would look right, but you're not being cured. Yeah. And I think when I heard that from the nurse, I said, okay, I got to do something. So now I'm a big advocate for finding what works for you.
Yeah.
But doing it, making it work for you.
Yeah. And I love that your nurse said that to you. I had the honor and privilege of speaking with Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, who is, most people know Dr. Deepak Chopra, but that's his brother, renowned doctor. But what he said to me that really stuck too, he said, it is our responsibility as doctors to give you a diagnosis, not just to, take care of your symptoms. We're responsible for giving you a diagnosis. So, make sure that your doctors are looking for every possible, situation to be able to come to a diagnosis and not just give you medication for symptoms and not know exactly what they're treating.
Yeah, and I think it's those kind of, I've had some great doctors. I remember my weight loss doctor. I had two, and it was this was the gentleman one, and he said, "Well, why are you so against this?" I said, "Because it is I should be able to diet and get this done." He says, if you had, he named some disease, what would you take medicine for it? I said, of course I would, because I'm trying to do. He said, so you have the disease called obesity, and just like anybody else, I'm a doctor who's looking to help you with disease. And then he asked me some questions in terms of how has it helped, like what has happened to date that has worked to reduce my weight. And I had to tell him nothing. Everything I tried, I would lose weight and gain it all back, and lose weight and gain it all back. And he said, so I'm here to help you lose it and not gain it back.
Right.
And that's when it clicked for me that he's a doctor, he's a medical doctor that was looking to help me. And that's when I accepted, some of the options they had. And today I'm so happy that I did. I'm thrilled that I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to these weight loss drugs, I have so many mixed feelings about them, right? And I again, we've talked about this on this show before. I don't completely knock prescription drugs, right? Because if you need it, and you should take it. But what concerns me about what's happening now, particularly around weight loss, is that people are just doing it that really don't need it, right? That, there's a lazy part of this country that now the people who really don't need it, they're doing it in place of doing things that they could do. And I'm talking about like a lot of these entertainers, right? TV stars, so these celebrities, right? They're taking these weight loss drugs just because they don't want to do the work. They want that quick fix, right? But there's a lot of concerns around the drugs too, right? And you need to be monitored if you have to take them, right? And I'm saying it that way because there are situations where you need to take them. But if you have to take them, you need to be working with your physician. It needs to be monitored. And you need a physician like Mimi just mentioned, one who actually cares, who's trying to get to the bottom of your illness versus just giving you something to appease what you're trying to do with your body, right? So I just wanted to mention that, right? Because people are using these things kind of like for sport now. It's like it's in place of a workout, or it's in place of, completely eating properly, or it's in place of, and it shouldn't be. And there's a lot of side effects around these drugs that are really concerning. So I want to say to people out there, if you don't need them, don't take them, and work with your physician first to understand what's happening in your body before you decide to take a drug, or before you start asking your doctor for a drug. And for the doctors who are out there just giving it to people that don't really need it, right? Because you need to understand their circumstances first. Shame on you for that, because there are a lot of side effects. I spoke to a woman who does metabolic testing, and she said there's something called Ozempic face, and you can Google it. You can Google it, and you start to lose mass in your face, and it's not reversible. You cannot build it back. You can't grow it back. You can't. So, when you start to think about, and this is just one of those drastic things that you can actually see, which is why I'm mentioning it. But when you start to think about when you're taking things that you're not, kind of on a regimen with your doctor doing so that it can be monitored properly, you will have things like that start to happen. There was a case with, I think her name was Brandy Glanville, from the Housewives, one of the Housewives. I think it was Beverly Hills that she was on. And I think she took one of them. I don't know which one, so I'm not going to say, because I'm not going to blame it on any one drug. But if you see her after pictures and what has happened to her face, and now she's had other things in her face too. So that combined with the drug has potential, like completely taken away like all of the fat in her face. Like Google pictures to see, what's going on out here with some of the people who are taking this that don't necessarily need it.
Now, I have a question, because I'm gonna take a little page from your book, you know, Devil's Advocate, because what it is rapid weight loss. So your body is looking for every place to pull this fat or excess fat. So it could be your face, it could be your, thighs, wherever. And it depending on how often you do this, that may be the only place left. We'll say we don't. But with rapid weight loss, you can get what looks like or what is similar to Ozempic face. So I wonder why they ran that description as opposed to, and they may have. I'm only talking about the few things that I've read. But why did we run to that? Because it could be inciting a riot, making the people up, rallying the people to get upset about something or to worry about something that they that may be a result of something that they did. It could. What I did was intermittent fasted, and I lost 35 pounds, maybe faster than I should have. But who's to say that couldn't have happened to me? Because what they're touting is rapid weight loss.
What I'm going to say to you is no. It won't be a situation where you can't necessarily build that back up. So now you got to look at the science behind the drug and what it's pulling out. Because what your body does naturally, your body stores fat to burn energy.
To burn energy, right?
So that's what your body does. So if you think about, now you have a drug that's taking all of that away from you. It's stopping what your body naturally does in order for you to be able to lose the weight. So if you lose it naturally, right, your body's still going to function naturally. It's responding to the fasting, but it's still going to know how to build the fat to burn it. And if you give it fat to burn, right, because when you're fasting, that doesn't mean you don't put in the right food to give you energy to burn. So if you're fasting and you're giving it the right food to burn, the right energy to burn, the right fat to process, you're not going to have to worry about losing that. Yeah.
Right. Input from the fat. And I think, and let me be clear in terms of if you are overweight, like I was, it had fat to pull from. So the fat it was pulling from and nothing was fast. I'm still losing weight as we, and this is 7 years into weight loss surgery and working.
This is the difference between working with, because you gave praise to your doctor, right? This is the difference between working with a doctor who's working with you to progressively, right, and do it the right way so that the medication doesn't have all of those ill effects on you. Let's take this step by. Most doctors will take that step by step with you, right? Because he's looking at your situation, you as an individual, and what you need as an individual, which is what it takes, versus people going, and listen, again, I'm not against medication. You're doing it the right way, right? But versus people just going and getting a drug and then just,
right. And just like, I agree.
And not being monitored the way they should.
Right. Anything being abused or used for the wrong reason is just not going to give you the right results.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to look into. And I think that the healthy piece is, going to a professional and working with them.
Absolutely.
I think, for us that, that struggle with weight, I think it's something that you definitely should do and definitely look into, because, when we try things ourselves, it's just not sustainable. I found for me, it's not sustainable. And I didn't want to. I remember, my doctor, I know I'm about to end, but I remember my doctor asked me one question. And I said, I want to be healthy. I want to live long and I want to be healthy.
Right.
And that was my bottom line. And when she said, okay, let's work with you. Yeah. And that's why I'm still with the same doctor. And we talk she knows me. Hey, Melissa, I'm the one, by first name now, because I'm there all the time. Yeah. So now we talk, and not just her. I have my cadre of doctors that all know what I've done, and they all work together with me. And they look at my all of my testing, and they're always testing, always doing blood work and testing my my levels in all areas. And 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 that's what it takes. It takes this
takes.
real effort. So getting healthy is not just a one quick fix. It's a total look at yourself. What are you looking to accomplish? And don't feel like, don't feel that you can't go to people to get help. Professionals like you, Tracy, doctors. I've gone to naturopath doctors, shout out to Dr. Shantae. There's people you can go to that can help you on this journey. And it is a journey.
Yeah. And it's a lifetime. It takes a lifetime.
I have no intention, right?
We're going to continue this conversation. We're doing a crossover on the Whole Living Show tomorrow. We're going to continue this conversation and talk about, how to strike a balance. And we're going to talk about the connection, the mind, body, spirit connection as well. So join us tomorrow evening on the Whole Living Show for the crossover, 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and you can also find us on the E360 TV network. We love you. We will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. and then again next week at 8:30 p.m. Take care.